Hi guys, welcome to Revolutionary Motion. I'm Kata.
And I'm Clemens, and today we're going to teach you guys some patterns that you guys can use to make it a lot simpler for yourself to set up the point when you're playing a match. So before we dive into patterns that you guys should use, let's first explore some of the patterns that are very commonly used that are actually not that effective. So you've probably heard a lot of coaches saying, oh, play to the side of the court that is open. That's true. The problem is everybody practices that side-to-side running, so if you're just hitting a deep, consistent shot, cross-court, then one down the line, then one cross-court, then one down the line, you're not going to have that big advantage because everybody's used to that. So this is something that you definitely shouldn't implement as much, even though it obviously has to happen quite a lot in a match, but you want to stay away from that as much as possible if you want to set up points more efficiently. So what you want to instead do is, you want to not use that side-to-side motion of your opponent too much, but use more of that forward-backward motion. Use your own shot's depth in your advantage. What do I mean by that? One of the most easy ways to actually make your opponent move across the court and feel uncomfortable is put a short ball onto the other side, on purpose. However, you have to be very clever with this, because if you just hit a short ball, most opponents will just use it as an approach shot, come to the net and finish you off. If you find out a way to actually play that short ball far away from your opponent in a position where he or she doesn't feel comfortable, so they cannot finish off the point, you now have an opportunity because your opponent is off position. They're closer to the net, they're inside the court, but also far pushed off the court if you use, like, for example, a short cross-court ball. Now what does that mean for you? The other side of the court is open, but more importantly, if you now play the deep ball after that, now your opponent doesn't only have to run across the whole court, they also have to move backwards while doing so. That makes that next shot a lot more challenging because most of the time they won't have enough space and time to actually get far behind the ball and then take a step in to hit that next shot. So you can always use that to your advantage by just coming into the net after that higher and deeper ball. Now this is one of the tactics that works up to a very, very high level. It's not only for beginners, it works for almost anybody as long as you get them off position enough. Now you can do that with a short cross-court forehand, for example, and then a higher, loopier, deeper forehand after that, or even cross-court backhand if your opponent decides to play that shot back down the line. Now, one more thing that you can definitely use is, if you have a good slice, use a short slice that is cross-court or down the line. Not short enough to be a drop shot, but short enough to pull your opponent slightly inside the court. The benefits of this are that the ball is very low when you play it, so it's more difficult for your opponent to actually finish off that shot. So you have a higher probability of being able to hit that next shot onto the other side of the court, hitting it deeper and higher to make sure that you can come to the net safely and not have to worry about a good passing shot coming from your opponent. Now we understand that many times in a rally it's more of an improvisation. You're trying to do the best with what you've got, and so many times you get stuck in these cross-court rallies. When that's the case, just wait for one of your cross-court shots to be a little bit more cross-court than the others, so you see your opponent having to move so far to the side that they're passing the single sideline with their feet. If they do so, that gives you an opening to hit the next ball to the other side. Most of the time they will play a cross-court shot back, so you'll have to use that down the line shot of yours to open up the court, and again, you can come into the net and finish off from there. Now, some people don't feel too comfortable coming into the net, but that only applies to getting tougher shots at the net. Most people feel fine when they come to the net if they have an easy ball. And even if you do miss it, you gave yourself that opportunity to finish off the point, and that's what it's really all about, because over time you will miss these shots less and less, but only if you practice them. So if you decide to come into the net and you miss a couple of easy shots in the beginning, that's completely fine. Stick with it. You'll eventually put those in and you'll have easy points in your game to not have to struggle so much with your baseline game. Now, one more piece of tactics that you guys could use is, if you're in a normal rally, try to play a high, deep topspin ball to the opponent's backhand and rush to the net after that. Why a high, deep topspin ball? Very simple. Most players are uncomfortable with that, and if it happens out of nowhere, they have to move back while hitting it, so it's very difficult to hit a good shot back. It's difficult to hit a good lob because they're on the move backwards, so their balls will usually end up a little bit shorter than they aim for. And if they try to hit through it, it's very difficult to develop enough power to put the opponent under pressure if you're far back and moving backwards while you're hitting. Now, the problem with this is, if you use this too often and your opponent stays back and can take a step into that shot, then you might get into trouble. So it has to be a surprising shot that you're hitting. One last pattern that is very easy for most players is when you're on serve, you're trying to serve a serve out wide. If you developed a good out wide serve, make sure that as soon as your opponent returns the ball down the line, because your serve is good enough to not give him the opportunity to get around the ball enough to play it cross court, you want to now play that next ball with a slice short cross court. That makes your opponent run across the whole court, gives you the biggest opening possible, and makes it easier for you to now come into the net and simply cover the down the line side. Now, if you do that, you'll be very likely to win the point.
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little video about patterns. Try to include them in your game, and please like and subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.